I am the seed, this word, bread of life that I received today. It's not only for me, but to be shared with others that they may grow in Christ as well as myself for the purpose of successful living. Thank you. You may be seated. Want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to, y'all look at the screen back there? What happened? That's over there? We just lost me. Y'all look at, because I'm supposed to be on that one, right? How do we switch out to that? All right, hello. I'm just trying to figure it out. Just trying to get it right. It always happens when we get started. Hopefully that everybody is doing well. I want to welcome you to another edition of Successful Living. We're here at the Greenwood campus, and thank those that are part of our virtual campus and to those that are watching from the Greenville campus. Thank all of you for joining us as we are coming out of this pandemic and the various things that people are trying to re-regulate their lives and get back into functioning in society. So we don't take this opportunity to share the Word of God with you and principles of successful living. I want to kind of piggyback off of what I talked about on last evening, but tonight I want to share with you the concept of the abuse of power. We have talked about pockets of the subconscious, and one of the things that I think we haven't really looked at in life, we have talked about the 5 wise and the 5 foolish, and we're trying to gravitate from the behavior of the 5 foolish to learning the characteristics and the things that made the 5 wise successful. And what we have to do, and we take a character, because sometimes we can take people and paint such a wonderful picture of them, but we don't necessarily tell the truth about them. And the character that we were using is the character of David. And when I use the term abuse of power, and quite naturally with the things that are happening in our nation and across the world with the pandemic, and in many instances, there are people who have abused the privilege to have power. And I just want you to know that just doesn't start today. That is something that has been going on throughout history. It's just not always been brought to the forefront as it has been today in our times. But the critical thing is, it's one thing, and I say this to people all the time, is how will you respond? Because the easiest thing to do is to respond out of your emotions and your feelings, anger, betrayal, whatever. But many times people don't think about the long game. How will you better position yourself? How will you better position your skill set? How will you increase your craft? How will you become a major player in the midst of a pandemic and misfortune and dysfunction? So when we look at it, and oftentimes I'll go back over the power of the subconscious is concerning the part of the mind. It's amazing how 7 to 13% of the human mind can control the other 97% or 93% or 95%. That little thing that works between the front of the mind, the middle of the mind, the back of the mind, can control the entire mind. So no matter what your gifts, no matter what your talents, no matter what your skills, no matter what your destiny is supposed to be, if we are literally out of sync, then we will create negative dynamics versus powerful dynamics. This is why I want to talk to you about the abuse of power. Because what it says, the subconscious concerning the part of the mind which is not fully aware. Sometimes we respond before we think. We react before we don't even have a plan. Many things catch people off guard. And so when you're caught off guard, if you're not careful, the subconscious will take over and control you. And here's the problem. When do you get you back? Pain will take over and control you, to control your decisions. Having destitute with your finances will take over, and it'll control your decision making. Brokenness will take over and control your attitude. And when that happens, then what is feeding our thoughts and what is our thinking like? And here's the result. When thoughts and the mind are in conflict, it creates an attitude within the individual. And so I started, I believe it was on Sunday, talking about he was supposed to be king. Because many times people can tell us and show us our issues, but they never can tell us and show us where our issues come from. Because see, if we're not in sync, anything that we do or we birth will not be in sync as well. And so this is why there are so many people that have hope and put hope on one person's back to be able to deliver them, the family, the whole generation is on one person. When the concept is it takes a village to raise a nation. And so we put our hope on one person and we put it on their physical skills rather than the greatest tool we have is the power of the human mind and the strength and the will of the human spirit. So we put everything on the physicalities, and when you put it on the physicalities, now we fall into the same trap as a young King David did. And so then what we don't realize is how David acted. And so when I started studying the character of David and what happened, many people come from a dysfunctional home, but they never break the cycle of dysfunction. Many people have been wounded, they've been hurt, they've been abused, they've been rejected, they've been abandoned, they have lost loved ones. But here's the thing. We've never examined what caused the issue so we can begin the process of healing. We talk about the pain, but we never invest in the solution. So when I looked at David's life and I looked at his father Jesse, and I looked at how when Samuel came to look to anoint a king out of Jesse's house, what kind of situation and living conditions were David in? He did not even have balance in his own home life. He had an estranged relationship with his father and his brothers. So in one sense, you can say he was an outcast, which means he didn't get proper learning, proper education. He wasn't fortunate like Moses. Moses wasn't abandoned. Moses was sent away to save his life. David had parents and was abandoned. And it affected him psychologically. How many of us are adults and still suffering from childhood pain? And until we heal from it, every decision in your life, in my life, will be spoken of or handled out of the broken glass that was broken early on in our lives. So when you look at David, his father wanted nothing to do with him. He didn't count him. So how many people are in a family but yet abandoned by the family that they're in? So it reshapes you, it rewires you. When people took advantage of your innocence, when people manipulated you and lied and you got in trouble and you have a record now, when people shut down the growth of your personality, when people did not build you up and give you confidence, but rather they judge you by your skin color and never the content of your potential or your character. And there are people today that are passing on this pain. There are people today who are wonderful people but cannot live and function normally because of the devastation that they never were given a decent platform to understand right from wrong. See, it's the difference between being controlled, being developed, and being understood. It's a huge difference, because in certain situations, David did not even get a chance to express himself or the issues he was dealing with. So many times people are left out, and so now as an adult, now as a teen, they cannot function because they have not been given the proper training, neither have they had the opportunity to grow to what they really can be. This is why I chose the topic tonight, the abuse of power. Because many people are birthing, raising, handling things out of fear, out of pain, out of rejection, out of denial, because they never themselves had a chance to be properly developed. Because when you are traumatized, and this is why I say it's deeper than what we think, it rewires you. It creates a certain dynamic that takes away a certain percentage of your ability to trust. And this is when the subconscious becomes so powerful, because the subconscious will tell you what to trust, even if it's to your demise. Your subconscious will tell you, and it will select things that it knows that is not in your best interest, but because what's in your best interest will create you being uncomfortable. You would rather stay with what's comfortable than expand yourself to grow out of your comfort zone into your true substance. So here's what happened. David had issues, ego problems. And when I like this about the example of the subconscious, it's trapped in memories. It's stuck in beliefs. See, your subconscious will deny you the principle to learn more than what it wants you to know. What does that mean? Your subconscious will tell you it's the only thing you can trust. And it literally draws you back away from the road of opportunity. And it causes one to build a house on a spot of desperation, because an individual feels uncomfortable. So then this is when the self-destruction starts. Your subconscious starts telling you you're a failure. Your subconscious starts playing out old reels of your life through your memories. You don't realize it didn't work then, but something tells you in your subconscious that it'll work now. And so these are the things that happen. And then it builds this undercarriage of fear. And it tells you you cannot move on in life. So then the power that you have to set yourself free is now the power that you take to bound yourself, and you literally be an enemy of freedom. So what happens? Here's the word if you're writing. When you are underdeveloped, it creates a falsehood of who you really are. This is why I said David was supposed to be king. When you don't get the proper development. And I thought about that thing as I was driving in, and I said, why is it when kids get a certain age, it's almost like we stop parenting? And now it's like, well, you're grown and you can make your own decisions. But here's the point. Where's the maturity? Now we're putting an innocent person in a devilish world, and they lack the experience to make good decisions. Because just because they're of a certain age doesn't mean that they are of a certain maturity. Come on, mothers. You watch your daughters develop, but she's not a woman even though she looks like a woman. She has the body of a young woman, but she has the mind and the behavior of a child. So then we can stop the development because of our own pain that's brought on by our own suffering. See, a lot of suffering is self-inflicted because I suffer because I allow my subconscious to keep playing my past. I suffer because I allow my subconscious to keep expressing fears. I know what I want to do, but I can't get my feet on solid ground to be able to do what I want to do. But my mind keep playing games with me. How can you make a decision if you're still unstable? This is why Habakkuk said, Habakkuk, I believe, said, write the vision. But see, your subconscious will keep you from writing. Our subconscious will keep us from the detail. Our subconscious will get in the bed with our imagination and create hallucination. So then, everything that you and I were supposed to develop and to wait till it's mature and take it through the phases of life, we literally have abandoned it. And we're literally abusing the power that we were given for ourselves, because your situation can't set you free. It has to be the power of your mind and who you focus on in God that will set you free. So David was supposed to be king, but because he was underdeveloped, he didn't spend any time with his fathers. He spent more time in the wild. See, this is the thing I don't understand. Who took neighborhood off of the neighborhood? Because some people didn't want to raise their game, so they brought down the standard. And many times when you bring down the standard, people appear to be more comfortable. They're comfortable because there's no expectation. And they want to hang around people who don't have expectation. Does this make sense? So what happens was, when David was underdeveloped, these are some of the things that happen to you and I, is we develop an alternative personality. See, this is why the Spirit of God is so critical, because it balances you and I, and it pushes out things. But if we're not right where we should be in Christ and with the anointing of God and with the Spirit of God, then the hallucination that comes from the subconscious, that is born out of fear, will have more power than the knowledge of God. And it will literally cripple an individual for his or her. The Bible says all the ways of a man are good. So when you sit there and you don't communicate, but you expect to be communicated to, you create demands in your mind that have never been established in the principles of life. So now you're going to be mad at a person because he or she did not communicate with you, but you never communicated what you wanted to talk about. You leave them hanging, your subconscious sends you off to do you, and then you come back and wonder why you don't have a healthy relationship. Underdeveloped. Because every time that you and I continue to do things out of our feelings and emotion, we are building temporary floating houses on water. Because the house look good, you have as many bedrooms as you want on it, but one thing you forgot. Anybody know what that is? You did not build it on solid ground. So whichever way the wind blows, that's where the house goes. And the farther you get in the deeper water, the shorter the stick you have to stir it with. The more you let your imagination play in your mind and control your feelings and emotion, the less you will be able to attain. But here's the trick of the mind. The trick of the mind tells you that you're in charge and you're making it happen. Anybody ever done that? Your mind will tell you you're in charge and you're making it happen. And here's the dynamic to that. It'll tell you that because your emotions are acting out and being served immediately rather than building principles to take you to the distance. So you have to make up your mind if you want to live temporal, if you want immediate gratification, or you want long-term gratification. See, this is one of the biggest issues that happen between the 5 wise and the 5 foolish. The 5 foolish wanted immediate gratification. The 5 wise knew, I need to invest something. But if your subconscious and your fears and your memories are telling you that you're owed more than you have given, then how can you receive more when you didn't even put in more? Once again, underdeveloped. Here's a powerful piece I'm going to share with you. I got to figure out where I put it. I know I didn't lose it. This is a powerful piece. I hate to play it off of my mind, because my mind is not the smartest and the greatest thing. But I know it's in here. I know it's in here. Isn't that amazing? Oh man, don't tell me. I know we're live, but I am like, boy, Satan is busy. Will you bring me my phone? Because I'm like, come on now. Let me go back up to the top. And I know we live, but it's okay. This was a very, very powerful piece. And I literally believe that it has been stolen from us. Oh, here it is right here. I changed some words, that's why it's lost. Remember I said to you, watch what you brand? I'm going to show you how powerful our subconscious is. Our subconscious has led us to believe. And when I share this with you, you'll see why I wanted it specifically. Our subconscious has led us to believe that giving replaces substance. Anybody want to elaborate on that? Because I am underdeveloped myself. Because I am underserved myself. That's the second word. Instead of me developing the things that I'm responsible for, my gifts, my talents, my children, my nieces, my nephews, I give them things. Same thing happened to David. His father didn't want responsibility and accountability to raise him, so he let him wander throughout the land. Didn't care if he came home, didn't care when he came home. How many of you have said, I don't care, do whatever you want to do? Because when you're underdeveloped, and underserved, you're under such enormous pressure that you don't focus on substance. You only focus on release. I'll say it again. When you're underdeveloped and underserved, we don't focus on substance. We only focus on relief. What do you mean? I don't want the pressure. I don't want to shape. I don't want to mold. I'm just going to give you some things and go away. I'm going to let you have your way. I'm going to let you do what you want to do. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to buy you this. I'm going to buy you that. And we're not teaching substance. We're not teaching character. We're not laying down a process. Does this make sense now? So basically, I'm going to give you something to get out my face. I'm going to take you somewhere so I can take you here, but I'm not going to show you what it costs to get here. See, the reason so many other ethnicity groups are ahead of certain ethnicity groups is that those other ethnicity groups will get down to the nuts and bolts, and they will write the vision, they will make a budget, they will make it plain, they will teach the responsibility, they will cause the people to earn the right to be there. In other cultures who feel like they are underdeveloped and underserved, they're always looking for somebody to give them. Then they never know how to appreciate what they've been, because they don't know the value and they never earned it. So if you don't know how to earn it, you don't know how to appreciate it. If you don't know how to appreciate it, you will never own it. How many people rent that tear up stuff? Not everybody, but a big number, because they never had to, and they don't know what it took to build it, establish it. And so when you give, is this making sense now? Instead of holding accountable. See, because sometimes if you're under pressure, it's pressure to look a child or a person in the face and say, you're not where you should be. But here's the whole point. If you have communication issues yourself, then it's going to be very hard for you to communicate with people because of your brokenness within yourself. So instead of being honest and truthful, you're going to adopt an attitude that now can't bring a positive result. So you're going to create friction rather than teaching, because you can't handle one-on-one conversations. You got to do it in your feelings and emotions that ain't never built a house. The difference between a wise man builds his house upon a rock and a foolish man. See, you built your house on your emotions. And so you're a non-effective communicator. So now when it comes to handling substance, instead of handling it because you don't want the pressure, you rather just give and everybody can be happy and nobody's mad at you. And you've just done everybody a disservice. Because psychologically and pathologically, you have told yourself this was good. But in real time, in real life, you have set people back because they don't know how to earn. If they can't earn and not learn how to be developed under pressure, then they can't perform when it's time to perform. Because we give things away because we're leaking within ourselves. So we hide behind giving. Now you see why I had to find this. Because if I give to you, I do a disservice to you. Ask me to make it plain. David's father never held him accountable. So when he became king, all he knew how to do was fight. How many of us are limited just to use our first reaction and too incompetent to think how to be wise? Remember, and I shared this with somebody, remember when David went down to Obed-Edom's house to get the Ark of the Covenant? The first time he went down there, he got everybody killed. Then he had to come back and get a strategy, because the first time he went out of his reactions and emotions, and he went down there and thought he was going to take and overthrow something, and wind up the ark turned on him. Success will turn on you if you keep doing things that are inconsistent to what brings success. And so success will turn on you. So one of the most hypocritical things to do is to give without setting a standard and trying to replace substance, because substance means that we have to effectively communicate and have dialogue and understand that we may not agree, but if we can agree 85%, the 15% will take care of itself. But because we're ineffective communicators, the same thing David's father did. Oh, he just let him go. So when he became king, he took what he had to where he was going and destroyed what he had. And he was supposed to be king and anointed, but wasn't balanced and wasn't prepared. Do you know what that really says? It goes back to something I say. There are certain ethnicity groups who will not go to school and learn and be trained, but want you to give them a job and hold the promotion and then teach them the skill. And then once they get the skill, they're ready to walk off the job. They've invested nothing in themselves, because David's father didn't see him as a successful kid. Whoa, watch out now. How many parents didn't see you as successful? And you were offended because you had to earn it, but your brothers and sisters received all the help they can get. And to this day, you think that's daddy's pet and that's mama's pet. That's the weak one, but it appears to be the strong one. But you're too stupid and too ignorant to see how strong you are, and you mad about something that you could buy and get for yourself, but you hung up on somebody who gave something to somebody. The child that has the power to take it is the child that has the power to lead. I told mine, I said, you would never earn anything or get anything because your last name is Campbell. You're going to have to show your ability in order to maintain or to get what you think is yours. See, y'all don't get that. Y'all think somebody's supposed to come and just raise you up and lift you up, and somebody's supposed to do something for you because you was a yard dog and you were back outside and your neck was broken. People put you down and you were molested and kicked around and you was an orphan. You still holding on to what was and never invested into what can become. Yeah. It took my shoe shine man, Mr. Buddy, who taught me. I was battling with things in my head, and you seeing your sister get this, and you seeing other folk get this, and he said, he came in, and he always would kill me. He said, sit down. And I know I'm gonna be there an hour, and I just want to drop off my shoes and get them shine. And he said, let me talk to you. He started telling me all about life, all about the 40s and 30s and all this stuff. And out of respect, I love him to death. And he said something to me, and I knew God gave it to him. He said, God bless Mama. God bless Daddy. God bless Grandpa. God bless Grandma. God bless little Annie. God bless little Peter. God bless Susie. But God bless the child that has his own. And so many people to this day, because they weren't properly prepared or seasoned, or still fighting in the darkness rather than taking ownership in the light. So you have to become okay with what you didn't get, and you have to realize what you didn't get, you still have time to go get it. Because if you truly plan to ascend to the throne, you can get it by name, but you got to keep it by knowledge. And wisdom will sustain you while you're on it. This is why I'm talking about the abuse of power. Where his father should have developed him, he gave him a pass. So when he became king, when you go out into the world, when your children go out to the world, if you never made your child or developed your child to deal with his or her intellect and intelligence and substance of character, they will always be befound and buffooned by society, because society is programmed to push their emotional buttons. And we think having a dysfunctional identity is what makes us special. Because we never wanted to address issues because we were leaking ourselves. So we gave free passes to our sons and to our daughters, but we want them to be better than us. But we made them weaker than us. And when it comes to the village, the aunts and the uncles didn't do what they were supposed to do. So it goes back. Our subconscious has led us to believe that giving replaces substance. So and that substance has to be development and training. But because I'm in my feelings and I'm in my emotions, as you said, the young man can do all kind of things, but don't have the concept and the ability to build anything on his own. So then you get mad when other people take your skills and your dreams and they patent them and they become millionaires, and now they're children. How can a man coach a game that he never could play? And how is he still in the game when others who played the game are out of the game But one who wasn't fast enough, quick enough, tall enough, didn't have the skills, is still coaching the game because you decided to use your ability than to use your intellect and intelligence. You got caught up in the moment. You got caught up in the rah-rah and the pom-poms, and you never sat down and started thinking. And one of the most dangerous things on earth is a that can think. You can put in the blank whatever you want to. So how can someone else think and then take your skill set and make them millions? Because you don't have any confidence in yourself. Because in your village, it was broken. In your village, what's wrong with you? And so this is why people like to keep dysfunctions in certain villages, because if you ever could think, if you ever could get out of your emotions, if you ever could get out of your feelings, if you ever could get out of what your ethnicity is and focus on your skills, now you'll lead a trail of people who can be developed. And what people won't give you or give to you or allow you, you have an opportunity to build and create your own. The problem is you've never seen anything for yourself outside of immediate gratification. Oh, y'all know what I'm saying. You want everybody to know you got a watch. You want everybody to know that you got a stereo system. But you ain't got nothing in your bank account. And you don't own one storefront downtown. But you the biggest, coolest, most populous thing it is because you're playing on temporal island. You're not building substance, because when you're building substance, there's no fanfare. There's nobody screaming your name. So you got to figure out who you want to be. So psychologically, we say, I gave this to you. I gave this to you, but I never took the time to develop you. How many parents have had arguments with their kids? I gave you this, I gave you this, but you never took the time, mom and dad, to develop. Because to develop, you got to develop from substance and not emotions. To develop, you got to develop from knowledge and not from attitude. To develop, you got to develop from experience. How do you push your kid to school and you never wanted to go to school? And you wonder why your kid want to quit school, because that's the DNA of the family. Because you give them things, but you don't teach them things. Oh, whoa. You give them things, but you don't teach them things. You don't show them things. You don't show them how to earn it. You don't show them how to go to the bank. You don't show them how to deal with conflict. Because every time conflict happens with you, you either go hide, or you get mad, or you start cursing, or you start showing out. So you handle your problems by inebriating yourself rather than handling your problems through the principles of God. Because every time something happens, you mad. You'll never open a business being mad. You're programmed to think, if I open a business, I got 1,000 people out there. It does not work that way. You've got to build a business one customer at a time. And you have to be consistent. It's time to go now. You can't be moody and flaky and flippery and expect to sustain a business. And then when you get into my kind of field, people to this day, I don't know. I think he sell dope. That's what I think he do. Why? I've had people say, I can't think. I tell people all the time, I get paid to think. What do you do? I get paid to think. I'm analytical. I analyze things. I'm a problem solver every day. If I let my emotions get to me, I would burn down 15 buildings a day. I'd be like, we can't fix this. A fire started. That's all I know. Be in the laboratory, just take the chemicals. Because here's the thing I'm saying to you. If you're going to come out of this pandemic, and you're going to come out of this horrible time that we're living in our country, and emotions are so strong, I want to know what you're going to do when your emotions have settled. I want to know what you're going to do when the stimulus check is gone. I want to know what you're going to do when you realize that arthritis, you're not going to be able to do that job that you've been doing. When will you start thinking and using your mind and sitting down and planning and quit seeing what you see in the mirror and start believing the gifts and talents that are within you that can take you to a place that creates an inheritance for the generations that come after you? God bless you. I'll see you in Greenville tomorrow.